We continue on with episode number 3 in this series, and today we're looking at the Texas theme parks and deciding what coaster would fit well for those parks. Before we start the actual list though, let me talk about 3 parks that I'm going to be excluding because they really don't have a chance of getting a coaster anytime soon, at least not in my opinion. The first one is the Kemah Boardwalk. Despite being home to one of the better wooden coasters in the state of Texas, Boardwalk Bullet, this park doesn't have much to offer outside of its wooden coaster from the Gravity Group. This is a cool looking ride, and the fact that they fit 3,200 feet of track in just an acre of land is really impressive. That said, this is the park's only coaster, and it opened all the way back in 2007. Not too dissimilarly, ZDT's amusement park is only home to one roller coaster, and it's built by the Gravity Group. This one is much different though. It's called Switchback, and it was the world's first shuttle wooden coaster. Calling this an amusement park is borderline. Despite having a pretty major coaster and one that I definitely want to experience at some point, the place is very small and is basically a big arcade with some amusement rides. Just like Boardwalk Bullet at the Kemah Boardwalk, the Gravity Group should get all the credit in the world for fitting Switchback into the spot of the park that they did, but I don't think there's room for another coaster, and I don't see ZDTs getting another coaster, so that's why they won't be included. And finally, we have the Galveston Island Historic Pleasure Pier. This is another park that only has one coaster, but this isn't built by the Gravity Group. It's a Gerstlauer Eurofighter called Iron Shark. This opened with the park back in 2012, but I see no indication that this park is interested in buying a new coaster considering the land that the park occupies. So with all those things in mind, let's get into the first park for the actual list, and that is SeaWorld San Antonio. This is a big park in terms of land, but not really in terms of ride lineup. Currently, they have 6 coasters with another one on the way in 2025. So what could this park use in their coaster lineup? Well, with 6, soon to be 7 coasters, there are certainly some gaps in this park's lineup. They cover the airtime box pretty well. Steel Eel and Texas Stingray both have some airtime to them, but they lack an extreme launch coaster and they only have one coaster of multiple inversions with Great White. So how about a modern Vekoma launch coaster? I'm not exactly sure which model would fit best. I have heard the Top Gun thrown around and I do like that idea, but I think a Vekoma launch coaster would work well here. You would get more inversions into the park and it would be a very different experience than the B&M Invert Great White. Would it be a new standout coaster in the park over Texas Stingray / Steel Eel? Maybe, I don't know, it depends on your preferences. Airtime lovers might still prefer those other two, but the variety that this ride would provide would be really cool. Next up is, according to many, the best park in Texas, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, also located in San Antonio, Texas. This park looks really good. This is for a few reasons. Yes, the coaster lineup with Wonder Woman, Superman, Iron Rattler, and all the other coasters looks awesome, but it's also how this park is run. Management really cares about how this place looks and how this place runs. To be frank, I'm really not sure you can say that about every Six Flags park. Then, of course, you have the very interesting setting of being inside a quarry, with some of those coasters interacting with the quarry wall. So, this park does a lot of things really well, and some people even put it at the top of the Six Flags chain. But what coaster could they use? Well, I think a Gravity Group wooden coaster would be a good fit here. Between 1992 and 2012, this park did have a wooden coaster in Rattler. Granted, no one really cares that that ride was RMC'd, but it would still be nice to fill that wooden coaster gap again. Potentially, like the original Rattler and Iron Rattler, it could even hop on the quarry wall. I don't know exactly where this would go, maybe behind Pandemonium, but regardless, it would give this park another really good coaster and fill that wooden coaster gap. We go to Six Flags Over Texas now, the original Six Flags park, and actually the reason why the chain we know today as Six Flags is called Six Flags. If you aren't familiar, the chain got its name from Over Texas and the state of Texas and the Six Flags that ruled over Texas over the history of the state. Now, this park is usually considered pretty mid-tier in the Six Flags chain, but a mid-tier Six Flags park is still a solid park. So, what could Six Flags Over Texas use? They have most major categories checked, but a B&M launch wind coaster would be an interesting idea for this park. I'm thinking something along the lines of Thunderbird at Holiday World. You could have another coaster with inversions and put a powerful launch into your park. Plus, they don't have anything like a wind coaster, neither does the South at all. Wonderland in Amarillo is going to be the last park we'll talk about. Now, I don't see this park getting a coaster anytime soon, but I think it's a bit more likely than the 3 I excluded from the list earlier. Wonderland currently has 4, with their last edition coming in 2009, so it's definitely been a bit. But let's say they decide to do something crazy, and I know this isn't very likely, and they add a mock multi-launch roller coaster. This park needs a standout coaster. Texas Tornado doesn't exactly fill that need. A coaster like this would fill so many gaps. It would get them a launch, well in this case more than one launch, multiple inversions, and multiple airtime moments. They don't have an airtime centric ride either. At the moment, Wonderland Amusement Park is not exactly known around the world, and while this might not put them up that high, it would attract a lot of coaster enthusiasts that haven't been taking trips out there otherwise. So why not? Wonderland should add a mock rides multi-launch. Hey, that's going to be it for this one though. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this was a bit shorter than some of the other stuff that we've done, but I wanted to get this video out anyway and continue on this series of states. If you want to see another state, leave a comment down below and let me know which state you'd like to see it for. Until then, or any other videos in between, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.